Israel has carried out a strike inside Iran, a U.S. official told CNN, following Tehran's unprecedented missile and drone strike last week. A Revolutionary Guard commander in charge of Iran's nuclear facility security says the country is likely to reconsider its nuclear policy if there are Israeli threats or attacks against its nuclear sites. EU leaders vowed to ramp up sanctions against Iran.
And there is a strong consensus to sanction, which is largely the most important issue, and to take clear decision to sanction not just the officials and the army, but all the key players and industrials and financiers being involved in production of missiles and drones. And we will follow up.
Former U.S. Vice President Mike Pence is confident that U.S. military support for Ukraine is forthcoming. Such a congressional approval has the support of majorities of the political parties as well as the American people, Pence said in an interview with Euronews in Brussels. Support for Ukraine has been hanging in the balance in Congress for months and has seriously weakened Ukraine's performance.
A majority of Republicans and Democrats and a majority of the American people embrace our role as leader of the free world. I think you'll see the Congress send to President Biden's desk a historic package of support for Ukraine, for Israel, for Taiwan.
In sharp contrast to former President Donald Trump, Pence spoke out in favor of NATO and a strong transatlantic partnership.
On both sides of the pond.
Stefan, I think there is a rising tide of Republican isolationism in my party. I've spoken out against it boldly and will continue to. I have no doubt in my mind, if the West were to falter and Vladimir Putin were to overrun Ukraine, it would just be a matter of time before he crossed a border that, under Article 5, we as NATO allies would have to go and fight him.
Pence earlier launched a presidential campaign but lost in the primaries. He went on record not endorsing Donald Trump in the 2024 race against Joe Biden.
For this statement.
The US has vetoed a widely backed UN resolution that would have paved the way for full UN membership for Palestine. The resolution, voted on Thursday afternoon, would have raised the Palestinian status from a non-member observer state to full membership. US Deputy Ambassador Robert Wood said the US supports a two-state solution.
The United States continues to strongly support a two-state solution. This vote does not reflect opposition to Palestinian statehood, but instead is an acknowledgement that it will only come from direct negotiations between the parties.
Palestinian news agency Wafa released footage on Thursday showing Gaza residents returning home to Nuseirat after Israel's withdrawal. The official death toll in Gaza since October 7th is approaching 34,000, according to the enclave's health ministry. Thousands more bodies are believed to be under the rubble. Mourners gathered on Thursday around the bodies of 8 people killed in an overnight airstrike in the southern Gaza city of Rafah. All of the dead belonged to the same family, 4 children and 3 women.
The EU agrees it needs to do something and do it quickly to compete with the likes of rivals China and the United States. But its leaders have disagreed on what. After much debate at a summit in Brussels, they endorsed calls for a new competitiveness deal aimed at reversing the worrying trend of industrial decline.
The single market is the jewel of the crown, we all know, and the single market has to be completed, extended, and we have to concretely go in the direction on how the single market can profit to the citizens.
His report suggests extending the EU market to sectors of financial services, energy and electronic communications. Boosting innovation is also a key point. But the big issue remaining is how to find the money needed to improve competitiveness. One idea is promoting state aid at the EU level. Enrico Letta says that public money should play a role. Some member states support the issuing of common EU debt.
Aujourd'hui, tous les 27, et je pense l'entière opinion publique au niveau européen sait que nous avons des nouveaux besoins qu'on doit financer avec de l'argent qui ne peut pas être le 1% du budget européen, le 1%, disons, du GDP qui est le budget européen normal.
The meeting ended with the leaders calling for policies that will enhance Europe's economic, manufacturing, industrial, and technological base to ensure economic resilience and industrial renewal.
Two German-Russian men have been arrested in Germany on suspicion of espionage. The Federal Prosecutor's Office in Karlsruhe said the men, identified only as Dieter S. and Alexander J., were arrested in Bayreuth on Wednesday and are accused of spying for Russia. They're also accused of preparing explosives and of scouting potential targets, including American military bases.
Unsere Sicherheitsbehörden haben mögliche Sprengstoffanschläge, die unsere militärische Hilfe für die Ukraine betreffen und unterminieren sollten, verhindert. Es ist ein besonders schwerer Fall der mutmaßlichen Agententätigkeit für Putins Verbrecherregime. Wir werden solche Bedrohungspläne weiter durchkreuzen. Unsere Sicherheitsbehörden haben sich seit dem mörderischen Angriffskrieg Russlands gegen die Ukraine alle Schutzmaßnahmen gegen hybride Bedrohung durch das russische Regime hochgefahren.
Germany has become the second biggest supplier of weapons to Ukraine after the United States, since Russia started its full-scale invasion more than 2 years ago. The US has a large military presence in Germany. Justice Minister Marco Buschmann praised what he called an investigative success in the fight against Putin's sabotage and espionage network. A judge ordered that Dieter S. be kept in custody pending a possible indictment. Alexander J. was due to make a closed-door court appearance on Thursday.
A prominent figure in Germany's far-right Alternative for Germany, AfD party, is standing trial for using a banned Nazi-era slogan. Björn Höcke allegedly repeated the phrase, "Everything for Germany," twice at political rallies. The phrase was once a motto of the original paramilitary wing of the Nazi Party.
Und indem er um das Amt des Ministerpräsidenten bewirbt, ist man natürlich interessiert, wer ist das? Und dann ist man damit konfrontiert, es ist ein Politiker, der nach seinen Aussagen, nach seinen programmatischen Zielen befragt, durchaus als Rechtsextremist und Faschist identifiziert werden kann.
Höcke denies he was aware of the origins of the slogan, claiming it is a common and everyday phrase. If convicted, he faces up to 3 years in prison. Höcke is preparing to run for the state governor in autumn elections in the region of Thuringia.
Die ganzen Versuche, die AfD und einzelne Politiker als rechtsextrem und völkisch zu klassifizieren, keine besondere Behinderung für den Aufstieg der AfD darstellte. Insofern gehe ich auch davon aus, dass der jetzige Prozess eher in dem Sinne enden wird, Höcke ist das Opfer, Deutschland ist ein Land, in dem die Meinungsfreiheit eingeschränkt wird.
The trial is the latest in a long string of controversy that has impacted the AfD party in the run-up to the European elections in June.
It's too early to say which role Mario Draghi could have within the future European Union. But one thing is certain, many think Tuesday's speech in La Houppe showed his readiness to take on one of the highest-ranking roles within the EU. His words on the future of Europe and its need to undergo radical change in order to remain competitive have been praised by many, and not just in Italy but also abroad. In Italy, over 1,000 people signed a manifesto calling for an endorsement to Mario Draghi's candidacy as President of the European Commission. Tommaso Greco, the promoter of the petition, told us why Mario Draghi is the right person to lead Europe.
Sosteniamo Mario Draghi alla presidenza della Commissione europea perché vogliamo un'Europa più forte, più unita e più autorevole. Per ragioni di tipo internazionale penso alle drammatiche contingenze che stiamo attraversando con l'invasione dell'Ucraina e la crisi in Medio Oriente. Per ragioni di tipo europeo l'Unione Europea è di fronte a delle grandi sfide che possono essere vinte solo se saprà essere più unita. E per ragioni di tipo nazionale. I partiti che hanno sostenuto il governo Draghi devono dirci come si collocherebbero di fronte a un'ipotesi di Mario Draghi candidato alla presidenza della Commissione europea.
His widely popular whatever it takes recipe that once saved the Eurozone and that came in handy when he was called to rescue Italy becoming Prime Minister could help Europe face the enormous challenges that have emerged in the past few years.
Questa è una sfida ancora più grande, perché in fondo la sfida del whatever it takes era una sfida che in prima approssimazione coinvolgeva degli strumenti che lui controllava come governatore presidente della Banca Centrale Europea. Da un lato è un grande tecnico, quindi capisce la natura dei problemi che abbiamo di fronte, dall'altro è anche un bravo politico però, perché molti tecnici a volte non hanno quella sensibilità politica.
But what do Italians think of Draghi's potential role as President of the European Commission?
La Meloni l'accetterà volentieri questa candidatura e è a beneficio sia suo che dell'Italia stessa.
Some don't mind the fact that he has no political affiliation, while others think it's not a positive asset.
Lui è un tecnico in effetti e quando compaiono i tecnici chiaramente vanno dalla parte che gli fa comodo.
I governi tecnici in Italia erano i migliori e quelli che hanno funzionato meglio, perciò penso anche come Presidente della Commissione Europea potrebbe funzionare.
Despite showing herself as a more moderate leader, having continued Draghi's political course in Europe, Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has not yet made any comments on his potential candidacy. Giorgio Orlandi for Euronews in Rome.